Center, or DISC, in partnership with the Ideas Coalition, welcomes you to our 16th episode of our Walking the Walk Together panel series. This will feature a panel of amazing SU student athletes breaking down common stereotypes and misconceptions of athletes in STEM. It is our hope that these panels start conversations, educate allyship, and bring together all corners, cultures, generations, and hierarchies within SCU to turn words into actionable steps to help move our community forward in a positive way together. We hope we can create a constructive atmosphere that nurtures ideas and real solutions for the real issues we are discussing. Please note that the panel is being recorded and shared later on our SU Engineering YouTube channel. If you want to watch any of our past panels and hear from panelists like Sidel Curry-Lee, Dr. Tracy Panera, Maynard O'Kirky, Dr. Ellen Ochoa, former SU student and staff leaders, and many more, which you can find at the School of Engineering YouTube at www.scu.edu/engineering/WTWT. We hope we can create a constructive atmosphere that nurtures ideas and real solutions for the real issues we are discussing. Before we start, there are a few house rules. This is a safe space. We are here to support you. The panel will be recorded, but once the panel is over, the recording will stop. And this panel may contain material that may be triggering for some individuals. Also remember that you have worked hard, you have earned your spot, you deserve to be here, and you belong. My name is Priya Jain, and I am the moderator for tonight. I am a senior majoring in web design and engineering. And now it is time to introduce our guest panelists. So panelists, as we say your name, it would be great if you could also take about a minute to tell the audience a little bit about who you are. So let's start with Bailey.
Hi everyone, my name is Bailey McLaughlin and I'm a senior studying civil engineering. I play on the softball team here at SU and my position is outfield and I'm a stopper as well. I have been playing sports for as long as I can remember really. I started playing basketball, softball when I was 4 and I played through high school. Softball is my main sport and it's how I found Santa Clara.
Thank you, Bailey. Up next we have Kylie.
Hi everyone, I'm Kylie Foutch. I'm a senior as well. I'm studying neuroscience, philosophy, and biology. And I am a goalkeeper on the women's soccer team. And like Bailey, I've been playing for a long, long time. I played t-ball and basketball and I danced. And then when I was about 7, I chose to stick with soccer.
Thank you, Kylie. Up next we have Mike.
Hello, my name is Michael Kronkamp. I'm also a senior. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I play on the men's water polo team here. I'm majoring in electrical engineering. Besides the water polo, I just love hanging with my friends, being out in nature, hiking, kayaking, whatever it may be. And I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Harvey.
Hi, thank you for having me, and nice to see you all. And I am a master's student in the League School of Business, studying business analytics. I graduated from Santa Clara as well, doing biology with minors in biotechnology and philosophy. And a fun fact about me is that I spent 1 year off school traveling around Australia and stayed in a one-man tent.
Thank you, Harvey. So just to emphasize, there will be time for Q&A after the discussion. So let's go ahead and dive in. Panelists, you don't have to answer every question or any question you're not comfortable with. So just jump in when you have something to add. But we are going to start with a general question for everyone. And at the end of our set of questions, if we still have time, we can take questions from the audience or chat on Zoom. At that time, we would ask the audience to please raise your hand and wait to be called on. So what is your why? Who or what has been your motivating drive in your life to bring you to where you are now, here today at SCU, and to the sports you play?
I think the biggest part of my why would be my mother. She used to drive me for an hour to go to club practices while I would be doing homework in the car. And she did that all the way up through my senior year of high school. And just seeing her work so hard to provide for both me and my sister growing up, she's just been a huge support system for me. So,
Yeah, I guess a big reason for my why for joining the sport is just the people you meet. I really enjoy the people I get to know from track and field, cross country, and they've been a great support network. I've learned so much out of them, and also just the places you go as well. You travel a lot being on the cross country track and field team to different meets, and even just by nature of running, you can go to so many different places and explore. So I think that's a big reason for me why I chose track and field.
For me, I'd say it's a lot just my siblings. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and so that was always fun being at home. 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and specifically 2 of my brothers, like they really like pushed me into the world of water polo and thought that I probably want to be here because they were like my first coaches. Coming from like St. Louis, Missouri, the water polo scene is not what it is out here, but like just working with them all the time, playing with like older, better players. Kind of like pushed me to where I am now. And yeah, just sticking with water polo has been great, meeting so many new people. And so my brother's just next for that.
For me, I'd say my parents, specifically my dad, kind of similar to Kylie. He would drive me, like all the way down to SoCal and back, and a lot of times, I'd even be sleeping in the car, so he doesn't even have company with him. He's just happy to be there and support me, and I think I also, when things get tough, and I try to come back to my why and find inspiration there. I think of like my younger self, and I'm sure you all kind of do as well, but when I was a young athlete, seeing all the college athletes, I always felt very inspired, like, wow, like look what they're doing, they're so cool, they've got it all figured out. And I think just to know that I made it here and my younger self would be so proud of me, it helps just push me forward.
So, how would you describe your academic and sports journey growing up, and what were the biggest surprises, challenges, success, etc.?
I think the best analogy to use is an eternal seesaw of figuring out a balance between the two. I've struggled severely with, not putting too much time into soccer or not putting too much time into academics. And I feel like time management has been a big part of finding that balance. And also being able to set aside time, not just to spend with friends, but for me time, and being able to decompress at the end of the day and say, like, did good at practice, I did my homework, I can sleep well tonight.
Yeah, I feel like it's a pretty big issue across the board with student athletes about time management and just being able to fit everything in. I know that I definitely had a big factor with FOMO, so fear of missing out. You can't fit it all in. And I think you have to be very selective with what you choose to do and like what not to do. So like there might be multiple events on, there might be like a big training meet on, or there might be a big social gathering or a big test on. So just planning out your week, making priorities and saying like, okay, it's okay if I miss this social gathering, or it's okay if I might be like a little bit late with this homework. But I think communication is a good thing as well. Saying like to your friends like, hey, I'm really sorry, I can't come to this event, or like talking to your professor and saying, sorry, I've got a lot on my plate, is it okay if I get an extension? So I think that's just a good way of navigating the multiple responsibilities of being a student athlete.
Yeah, I echo everything that's been said. I kind of mentioned before how like playing water polo in St. Louis, you kind of need to like look for opportunities. And like from the academic standpoint, I talked about my brothers. My oldest brother, he's a type 1 diabetic. He's now studying to be a pediatric endocrinologist. And like I saw him studying for that, like in medical school, like all these hard tests, all this hard work, and he's like still playing water polo. And so for me, like I saw that, like I also have type 1 diabetes, like I can like go and try and like chase after that, try and like engineer things for that while still playing water polo. And yeah, a big part was just time management, because it's not like you have to pick and choose. You can do water polo, you can like do STEM, study hard subjects. You just have to know how to manage your time so that you're getting kind of the best of both worlds.
Definitely. I think, I don't want to reiterate everything that they said too many times. I mean, they summed everything up pretty well. I think for me, sometimes it can be hard. I mean, you have practice and you go to class and then you got to do homework, and sometimes there are those days where you don't get to fit in the social stuff, and you got to go to sleep and then wake up and do it all over again, and it can be a cycle of just feeling like you're doing the same thing every day. So I think going back to like finding that why and that motivation that keeps you going is really important, and just kind of echoing what they said about finding me time and taking care of your mental health as well, because if that's not at the forefront of everything, then everything else kind of tends to fall away. So yeah, just balancing everything, but it's a skill that you learn as an athlete, just growing up in general, and you got to keep up with it in college, but it's definitely doable. It just can be hard sometimes, but you know that when you sign up to be a student athlete in STEM.
So what would you say to people who believe you cannot be an athlete and major in a STEM field?
I would say us sitting up here is proof that you're wrong. It is very doable, and again, echoing what we've just previously said, it's doable, and as long as you have end goals in sight and are able to prioritize what you'd like to do with your life and like big picture, it is very much doable.
Yeah, obviously I agree that it's definitely doable. I think one common misconception that people get is that if I don't get good grades, I'm not going to get a good job. And while I would definitely say get good grades, I think there's more to it than just grades. There's experience, there's like your soft skills, and being student athletes is just a great thing for the resume to be able to get a good job. So you don't have to be, like a straight A student. By just being a student athlete, you can show that you have teamwork, leadership, perseverance, motivation to be able to do well. And I think a lot of employers are looking for that. So again, don't be put off by the course being hard, because there's so much more going for you by being a student athlete in STEM.
Yeah, and we're not saying it's not hard to be a student athlete in STEM, but it's just like everything else in life. There's going to be highs and there's going to be lows, and sometimes if you just have like a really bad practice and you have a test the next day, like, yeah, it's a pretty bad low, but like then fast forward to like a few weeks later, like you're having a good day, like you just got a big win, like there's highs. So it's just like life. It's definitely doable, but there's going to be highs and lows, but that's everything with life, so you just have to kind of expect that.
Yeah, definitely. Echoing what Harvey said, I think there is a misconception that you can't do both, but being a student athlete in STEM and that kind of being uncommon makes you even more valuable as someone in the workforce. I know, just like talking to employers, when they see that you're an athlete, they see that you know how to fail and you know how to be resilient and you're a good team player. There's skills in sports that you learn, soft skills that can't necessarily be taught, and I think it's good to see the value in that.
So, in being a student athlete, what stereotypes do you remember hearing growing up, either directed at you or people around you, and how did you respond?
I think this goes for most all student athletes, but just the misconception that we're all jocks and that we don't apply ourselves in academics. I was just looking at classes to register, and I was like, oh, what do you know about this professor to one of my teammates? And they were like, well, they don't typically like athletes because they think that you're not going to go to class or you're not going to spend the time to do the work. So, yeah.
I think this is a really interesting question, and it reminds me of a video that I watched 2 weeks ago of my favourite athlete, Oliver Hoare, who's an Australian 1500 metre gold medalist at the Commonwealth Games, and he came out and said that life on his side of things looks really cool. He's sponsored, he's got a full-time job running, he's got the best friends, and life's great. But student athlete, that's like the stereotypical side of things that people see. But in reality, he came out and said that he really struggles with mental health, and he was questioning why he did track and field and wasn't really sure whether he enjoyed it, even though on the outside it looked like he had the best life ever. So I think the key takeaway from this is that there are challenges, there are things that you have to overcome, mental health and all that, and just take care of your mental health. And it's a great life to have being a student athlete, but it definitely does come with it's not all sunshine and rainbows. It is a challenge, and it's not always going to be easy.
I just remember in high school when you're being recruited by coaches, they're always like, "Oh, what are you interested in studying?" And whenever you say engineering, they're like, "Ooh, that sounds hard." And then you look at all these rosters of all these athletes, and it's business, all this other stuff, and there's just not a lot of STEM. And so just looking at that can kind of be a little scary. I remember one coach in particular, he's like, "Oh, you should come here if you try and do engineering at another school and play a sport, they're not going to let you." And so I think just continually hearing that, "Oh, it's so scary, it's so hard," you can kind of be turned off and be like, "Oh, maybe I don't want to play a sport and be a STEM major," but you definitely can. And if you look, you're going to see exceptions like us four up here, and you just have to work hard and kind of say, "No, I can do it," and just show them.
Yes, I definitely had a similar experience, and I remember being at camps, and the first question I would ask is, do you not let your athletes specifically choose any majors? And sometimes I would get answers like, "Yeah, we don't let," sometimes it's no nursing, no engineering, just because, we know that it's a demanding major, and there are other schools here like Santa Clara that give you the opportunity to pursue a high academic major and also pursue the sport that you love. And I think finding that crossover is really important, and it's definitely doable, and very much so if you're academics focused. I think because we're all here at Santa Clara University, it's a very well-known academic school, and so the coaches here know that when you come here, you're looking to get a good education. And for some sports like softball, there aren't too many opportunities in the pro leagues, at least not for a career. So for me, I know that I always wanted to go to an academic school because I knew that there was life after sport as well. So using your sport to kind of open doors for you is a really, really great opportunity. And I also wanted to touch on the professors thinking that typically not liking student athletes, because I was actually talking to one of my professors the other day. He knew that I was doing this panel. There's been some flyers everywhere, and I was talking about we're talking about stereotypes and how athletes aren't typically in STEM. And he said, I think that's really funny because every student athlete that I've had in my career as a professor, at least studying civil engineering, has been a very well-off student, a very high academic student, because what comes with being an athlete is discipline. And if you're able to take your discipline that you use in your sport into your schoolwork as well, it carries over really nicely. And he said that he was talking to some CEO of some company, and the CEO said, if you want something to get done, give it to your busiest person. And he said that always stuck with him. And I think it's true because as athletes, there's not too much time to waste, and so we're very intentional with what we do, and you get good at it. And it's definitely a learning curve, but I think it's something that's very valuable that comes with playing a sport, is that ability to pursue hard things, and we're all kind of proof of that.
So what have been your biggest support systems over the years, even today?
I'm going to reiterate that it has always been my mom, and in addition to that, my teammates. Usually when we go into the locker room before practice, we all debate on who has had the hardest day, or we use each other as a vent system. And I think it's given that in a team environment, we provide ourselves with a safe space to vent to each other, to support each other, and to help each other grow. And so yeah, in addition to that, my mom, I will call her at any time of the day and she will pick up, and that is something I cannot express in words how grateful I am for. So,
Yeah, so obviously my family and teammates have been very influential in my support system, but I would say probably my biggest support system is my coach. So last year I was diagnosed with this ankle deformity, and the Stanford podiatrist and the doctor for the 49ers said I'd never run again. And as student athletes, we put a lot of our identity and ourselves into our sport, and just hearing that you couldn't really do your sport was kind of like ripping my identity away from me, and I just didn't really know where to go from there. And coach was monumental with getting me through that rough time of life. I was pretty much off the team, but he was like, Harvey, you've still got your scholarship and you've still got all the athletic resources here for you to try and fix this ankle deformity so you can run in some capacity. And a year on, I'm back up running and never looked back. We just found a way to fix it. So he's been amazing as a support system.
I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but I mean, it is just family and teammates, especially, I'll shout out one of my teammates, Cody, who's actually my roommate. He's a civil engineer. They're the same year on the team, known each other since freshman year. And it's kind of like, sometimes we'll hear the team be like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And then I look at Cody and I'm like, dude, I can't do this. He's like, well, I have a midterm tomorrow too, you're fine. And so kind of finding there's other people who you have those shared experiences with, so you don't feel left out to not be able to do something or go to some event. I think just finding those teammates that you can relate with is a huge thing, and so Cody's kind of done that for me, because I can kind of rely on him, he can rely on me. If he has a lot of work to be like, hey, I know what you're going through, let me know if you need anything. And so he's been really big for me.
Yeah, just echoing what they're saying, teammates and family. My roommates, they're also on the softball team, and it's my graduating class on my team. It's me, and then my housemate Cameron and Ella, and they're both in STEM as well. Cameron's mechanical engineering, and Ella is biology. So yeah, kind of finding those people with shared experiences. But also a huge support system has been my friends in civil. So in my major, not necessarily a part of my team or my family. They've been there for me through everything, and it's special to find people that you can struggle with and also have wins with. So just finding those people that you can, you feel comfortable telling anything and failing and not failing, and yeah. It's really great just to find people within your major that, when you have a test, you can study together and all that.
So, thinking about the life of a student athlete, what do you wish that faculty, administration, coaches here at SU would know? And what do you wish that teachers and coaches in youth sports would know?
I am going to reference a couple of my teammates who sort of prioritize soccer over academia just because they are likely to go pro. And so on that subject, I feel like I wish professors would know that some of us are choosing not to go pro and choosing to apply themselves more in academia. And so yes, we want to be there. Yes, we will put the time in to do the work. And yes, we do want to learn, because I feel like it's also a misconception that, student athletes are here at the school to do their sport, and school is just an afterthought. But for some of us, it really is truly our number one priority. So, yeah.
I think I would tell them that they're doing a great job, honestly. I feel really supported at Santa Clara, and I think they've done, just with 5 years being here, so freshman and now I'm in the grad program, they've invested so much into improving the lives of student athletes. I mean, when I was here, we had 2 physio beds and just a few athletic trainers. There'd be one athletic trainer for 5 teams, but now we've got an athletic trainer for 2 teams. There's an amazing facility at the AEC. So on the athletic side, amazing. I think the school's doing a great job. More on the academic side, again, I still think, from my experiences, it's been extremely supportive. I mean, having Lauren as an academic advisor has been super helpful to make sure that we are staying on top of our academics and athletics and finding that balance and being there for whatever needs we might have with finding balance. And the professors, from my understanding, have been very understanding as well. They've been extremely flexible with competition dates and understanding that we do care about classes and we do care about academics, but we also have other priorities as well and trying to balance those. And as long as we are in communication with them, they totally understand. So again, I would just say thank you, and you're doing a great job.
I think sometimes when we see like a travel letter that says, hey, we're going to miss class this day or this day because we're traveling to this tournament or this game, a lot of people are like, oh, sweet, we get to miss class. But in reality, like, you have to make that class up. And like, you're here to study that like major, and like, it's interesting. So I think just to like tell teachers, like, we're not trying to miss class. It's not like we get happy missing class. It's just that if you're on a team and you're playing a sport and you're taking class, sometimes you have to like pick, like, hey, or you don't even get to pick, really. It's like, hey, you're traveling this day, or I'm missing this class. I think just like teachers know, like, hey, we want to do both. We want to learn. We want to go to this class. We want to know this information, but we also want to play sports. It's not like we're trying to pick and choose, and we're not happy for missing class. You really want to do both. But going off what Harvey said, like there was one class last year where I had to drop. I emailed the teacher. I was like, hey, I'm going to be missing these dates. I know I'm going to be missing a lot of labs. What should I do? And he told me just take it next year. And I'm taking it right now, and I'm still missing a bunch of labs, but he's working with me. I'm working with the academic athletic advisors, and they're like, hey, we can find spots to make this up. We can do this lab here, this day, so I don't miss like this lab this day. And so I think it is, especially on the athletic side, very supportive. Even on the academic side within engineering, they're always trying to find ways to help me out, whether that's taking a quiz 2 days earlier or doing a lab on a different day. Sometimes it's a little stressful trying to figure that all out, but in the end, you know you're still going to be able to complete your work. So that's really assuring for me.
Definitely, I want to echo what they were saying about the athletic department as well as the academic university just being supportive of athletes. I think overall my experience has been very positive. For civil engineering is a small major, and so they only offer one class at one time, and if that's during practice, it's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And I remember as a freshman, I mean, I had this problem right off the bat, and I was really nervous, but the coaches were like, it's okay, like, we're going to work with you. We know that you're here to not only for softball, but to also pursue engineering, and we want to be there with you to help that. And so, like, there's times that I meet with my coaches outside of the normal practice time to kind of make that up. And my professors as well have been very supportive, like you said. Take this test on a different day. And something specifically about my coaches at Santa Clara is they have career goals for us every year. We have to make a LinkedIn and get a certain amount of connections. They bring in people from different fields to talk to us. Even people in STEM fields, for example, I'm a senior, so I'll be bringing in a career connection for a field that I'm interested in. So I think just continuing to do stuff like this and being supportive of athletes in STEM specifically will kind of help encourage younger generations to do the same.
Is there anything that you wish that teachers and coaches in youth sports would know?
I think making sure that youth athletes just know what is available to them. I think there was a point in like 8th grade, it might have been 7th grade, I didn't even know that college sports was a thing until quite later, I would say, because I was relatively academically like involved, and I think I think just providing young athletes with the resources necessary in order for them to know what's out there for them is probably the biggest thing, I would say.
Yeah, I really like that point on making sure that you have lots of opportunities open to you. And I think the big thing, especially for youth as well, is just enjoying the process. So I know from me personally, and I've seen lots of other younger athletes, they get really stressed about results. Oh, I got to run a fast time so I can get a good scholarship to college, or oh, I've got to get really good grades in high school so I can get a good scholarship to college. And there's a lot of emphasis on the end result and not a lot of emphasis on just enjoying the process, I think. And from my experiences, I found that if you enjoy the process, you end up getting great results. And if you focus on the result, you end up burning out and maybe not achieving what you want to achieve and end up feeling bummed out. So as a coach or a mentor or a parent, I would just be encouraging youth to just find something that they really enjoy and support them through that process of enjoying what they do, and just develop the person as a whole and not look for an end result.
Yeah, I love that point of just embracing the journey, not having a set goal at the end, just embracing what you're doing in the moment. I will say, one of my coaches in high school, we'd always go to Chicago for a tournament, and every year, there'd be people on the team like, oh, can we miss class? Can we leave early? And every year he's like, no, we're leaving after school ends. And I think just giving us that we're going to be here for class, we're going to be students, and then after that we're going to go be athletes. Kind of setting us on the right path of knowing you can do multiple things, but be fully invested in what you're doing at that moment. I think that was really cool. And also you talked about kind of having a set goal. I think right now, a lot of people are oh, if you need to be an athlete in college, you need to go to this camp and this camp and this camp. Kind of just acknowledging that you're still a student, and trying to learn as much as possible. But then when you are in athletics, trying to do that as much as possible. So just embracing where you are at the present moment, but not trying to stress and trying to be involved in too many things at once, because then you're just going to burn out of all of those different things.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's two things. One is to emphasize that being an athlete, there's a lot of skills that you learn that you can apply in school, and being students first before athletes is really important. Just it shows you how to take care of business, and also that everyone's journey looks different getting to college and becoming an athlete. For example, like Kelly said, she didn't kind of enter the athletic scene until a little bit later. I played on a travel team when I was 10 years old, and even then they're all right, the goal is to become a college athlete from super early on, and it sounds daunting, but there's different journeys for everyone, and the timing of everything. So just learning not to compare yourself to your friends or your teammates, and just understanding that the path that you're on, you're going to end up where you need to be. It doesn't matter the timing of everyone else.
So how do you balance school, sports, and life? And I know we've already touched on this, but if you want to add to, what is your support system now?
I have attachment issues to my planner, and that is a big reason why I can not let an assignment slip through the cracks. And what I've honestly found very helpful in the last couple of weeks of school is, it's going to sound odd, but I pack lunch every day. And if something comes up where I need to meet with a classmate for an assignment, or I'm going to be staying on campus for an extended period of time, I think in past years I've struggled with meals and with food, and so being able to have that with me as I go throughout my day, that just feeling myself throughout the day will allow me to be successful in both my sport and my academics. So yeah, pack a lunch.
Yeah, definitely agree with the planner. I have a Google Calendar, and it's just full to the brim, and I just plan everything out. I'm very picky about what I do and when I do it, just to make sure that I'm efficient and I get things done. My other biggest tip as well is communication. So there might be a time where you got an exam on, and there might be a team practice, and you might have to say to coach, like, look, coach, I'm really sorry, I need to do well on this exam. Do you mind if I could, do practice at another time, or like do X, Y, Z to make sure I can compromise and do the exam and then make up for it another time. Or even with professors as well, like, hey, professor, I've got this big event coming on, it's a really big game, it means a lot to me, I really care about your class as well. Would I be able to hand in the homework a few days late? So communication, compromise, and just having your day planned out really helped me as a student athlete.
Yeah, it's all about making priorities, especially for me. Like, time management is a big thing, but there will be days where you're so burnt out, you have so many things to do, you realize, like Harvey said, hey, you may not be able to get to everything that you want to do. And so I think just being able to keep priorities, so you know, hey, I'm going to accomplish this today and I'm going to accomplish this, is a big thing. And also what Kylie said earlier, last year there was a day of the week, I forget what was going on, but I said so many things in a row. I live like 30 seconds from campus, but I packed lunch on those days, just because it was a little thing to help me through the day, just to like manage my time as effectively as possible, and that really helped me out. So just finding little things you can do, whether it's packing lunch or whether it's something totally different, that just helps you just a littlest bit, because those like little bits that can really propel you to like be the best version of yourself in school or in water polo or sports or whatever it is.
Yeah, I definitely want to echo the Google Calendar and the planner is so crucial. I'm a very visual person, so having it all laid out definitely helps me to stay on top of things. I think otherwise it's easy to let things slip away and you forget about it, so making sure to stay organized is super crucial. Something else is what he said about doing the littlest things to help you. I think relying on our support systems like our family and our friends and our teammates is good. I think it's also good to learn how to rely on yourself and be your own support system. It's something that I've kind of been working through in the past year, but I know, like, this might seem kind of silly, but there's times where I like write myself a little note or a post and I say, hey, like, you got this, or I made a set of alarms on my phone that was like, oh, I'm so proud of you, like treating yourself like you would treat a friend. I think that's also really important, just to kind of keep yourself going, remind yourself you got it, because there definitely can be tough days. It's just learning how to, push through it and rely on yourself as well.
So how does it feel having people look up to you now, and what advice do you give them?
I'm going to reference my sister specifically. My mom always tells me that she looks up to me a ton when I'm not home, and being away from her the last 4 years, she went through high school while I've been going through college, so mom's going to have 2 graduations this year, but not being able to be there for my sister, like, physically in these times has been a little tough, but just knowing that, I go through my day and I can call her at the end of the day, and no matter how I did or what happened or what score I got on this test, like, my sister's going to be proud of me no matter what. It's very sweet, and it's nice to know.
Yeah, I don't really see myself as a role model, honestly. And that's just like real reality. I don't think like, I have to behave in a certain way because other people are watching. I just want to be my authentic self. But it is interesting though, because when I remember as a freshman, I did look up to the seniors on the team, and I'd be like watching what they would do and sort of copying what they would do, and like looking up to them as role models to see like, I want to be like them, I want to run these really quick times, I want to get really good grades like them, like how do I do it, and sort of analyzing again how they did it over time. And it does make me think more about how could I be a better role model or like a better teammate for my teammates at the moment, especially the underclassmen. and I think, personally, things that I could do better is maybe be in communication with them more, and just seeing how they're going, and being there more as like a friend. Because there can be a little bit of disconnect between underclassmen and upperclassmen just with the age difference. So maybe like going out of my way more to be more involved in their lives and being looking up for them a little bit more.
I had mentioned at the beginning of this that I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and so I'd always look up to my siblings a lot of times, and so now I think looking on it now and seeing if people look up to me, that'd be really cool, because as a younger kid I always looked up to my siblings, and I wouldn't say people really looked up to me, so now flipping is really cool, and just being able to I won't even say be like a role model, but just do things the right way, so that whether it's a freshman on the team or whether it's someone completely different, you just look up and be like, oh, we can do things like this, whether it's time management or whether it's something completely different. I think just being able to keep doing things the right way, so that people can look at you and say, oh, this is how you should do things, is really powerful, because I know that looking up to my siblings, that's what I did with my siblings, and so now if I can kind of flip the script now and do that for others, that's something like really cool.
Definitely. I kind of touched on earlier being a younger athlete and looking up to people who were older than me. I remember, going to clinics when I was, maybe like 12, and I would go and practice with these college players and think like, oh, they have it all figured out. And I think just to let people know that like it's okay to not have it all figured out immediately. And like we're all kind of going through life and trying to do the best that we can. So I think like just keep pushing and continuing to do what you do, especially being an athlete. Just utilize all those skills that I've touched on and push through, because you're kind of made for it. You're it's like ingrained in you. The skills that you learn in sport, I think, really transfer over to academics. And so even if there's not a path that you can see right now, the opportunities will come, and it's okay to not know immediately, but just keep pushing forward. It's definitely doable.
What stereotypes do you hope to help end before your student athletes' years come to an end? And how do you see the number of STEM athletes growing from underrepresented communities?
Obviously, I'm a woman in STEM, and I would like to think that I embody that relatively well, and I think seeing more young girls and women want to pursue careers in STEM would be honestly amazing. I don't know, just I think touching on the last question, being able to have someone look at me and see that she can do both her sport and her academia, which she loves, and that it's not just a side quest for her. I think that's also reassuring, and yeah.
Being an international student athlete at Santa Clara, I think is a really good experience, and Santa Clara is amazing in supporting international student athletes. And I think it's really good for the community as a whole to get different cultural perspectives and just cultural influences. So that's one thing that I think is really good about Santa Clara and can continue over the years. And one of the biggest stereotypes I would like to see broken down a bit more is that you have to get good grades to get a good job. I really, from my experiences, don't think that's necessarily true. Again, getting good grades is great, but I think there's a lot more to it. Again, as I talked about, the soft skills, the connections that you have, and just your personality, which is enhanced through being a student athlete. For example, perseverance, motivation, teamwork, etc.
I'd say it's just been really cool going from freshman year when you have to say like a fun fact for a class, and you'd be like, oh, I'm on the water polo team, and people were like, oh, like club, right? And I was like, no, Division I, and they're like, oh, you can do that and like still like be an engineer, and I'm like, yeah, it's possible. And just kind of like continually saying that throughout freshman year when people ask me what it's like, to now senior year, people are like, oh, how's the game? Or if you're going to miss class this day, can I help you with the notes? Like, do you need anything? Just seeing that has been super cool throughout my journey. And just like continually like just being open, like if I'm just wearing like a Santa Clara water polo shirt to class, people are like, oh, you can do that, and just continually saying like, yeah, you can, it's possible, and just breaking down that stereotype of like not being able to do certain things. I think just being open about what you're doing and being proud to be like an athlete in STEM goes a long way, and I think it's such a cool seeing the kind of shift over my 4 years of first like kind of like, oh wow, you can do that too. Oh, congrats, like a good game yesterday, and even some of my like classmates showing up to games, always like being involved and asking how it's going. That's been really cool for me to continue that and just keep being a proud student athlete in STEM. Even like with this panel, this is awesome. That's like something that's really cool to me.
Yeah, definitely. Like Kylie, I'm a woman in STEM, and I think I've seen more women come in, especially I think civil is really good about kind of being half and half. We have a class that we're doing an outreach event for, and me and my teammates, me and my classmate, we're going to Notre Dame High School, which is an all-girls school, and we're going to do a presentation about civil engineering and do a hands-on activity. So I think it's going to be really cool. The draw to me was it being an all-girls school. I think empowering women to be able to pursue STEM is really important, and just the outreach and I think the accessibility of these resources as well are really important. So I'd love to continue to see that. And one of my teammates, she actually just told me that she's going to become a civil engineering major. She came in undeclared engineering, and now she's going to be a civil. So I think it's cool, and I hope I was able to positively influence her in that direction. But to see more women in STEM, especially more women athletes in STEM, would be amazing.
Thank you for such a meaningful conversation. Now it is time for each of our panelists' closing statements. So let's start with Harvey.
I would just say, and it sounds a little bit corny, but it's the truth, is that you really can do it. I mean, there's more than enough evidence out there to show that student athletes can be really good STEM majors, and we have the support here to help you, no matter what your circumstances are. So, for example, having Lauren as an academic advisor, having special tutoring sessions for student athletes, having a study hall for student athletes. There's more than enough support, and if you want to do STEM as a student athlete, it's more than possible. So I've had a great time doing both athletics and being a STEM major, and I would highly encourage you to pursue that as well.
Thank you, Harvey. Now, Mike.
I think just knowing your why and kind of following your passions is like that will take you the right way, the right place. I talked earlier about prioritizing. If you just know your why, where you want to go, whether it's in like in academics, and then also know your why in sports, you're going to find a way. I said this earlier, it's going to be tough, but that's life. Like, there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs, but as long as you prioritize and know what you want to do, no one's going to stop you, no one's going to prevent you from doing what you want to do. I'd say just keeping a positive mindset, being an outward good example of a student athlete in STEM. I think it's all like really powerful stuff. So just knowing what you want to do and sticking with that, and making good decisions with your time management, no one's going to keep you from doing what you want to do in STEM, in sports, really in life in general. So I'd say just know your passion and follow it, and the rest will kind of fall into place.
Thank you, Mike. Now, Kylie.
I would start off by saying that I have had the resources at Santa Clara to become probably the most holistic version of myself, and I would not have been able to do that without being a student athlete in STEM. Again, the resources available within our athletic department, along with the resources in our school, have been available to me and allowed me to develop myself not as just an academic person and not just as an athlete. And I've been asked before if I could go back and, you know, be able to do an internship sophomore year in a lab as opposed to soccer, or if I had the opportunity to, you know, do something with school as opposed to soccer, and 100 times over, I will always choose to be a student athlete because it has made me the best version of myself.
Thank you, Kylie. Now lastly, Bailey.
I think if there's one thing that you take away from this panel is that being successful in athletics and being successful in STEM are not mutually exclusive. It's so possible to be great in both. And if you can pursue STEM while being a student athlete, leaving college and going into the workforce is going to seem, I feel like, a whole lot easier because you are not going to have practice. You're not going to have all these extra things that you're doing. You're going to be able to focus on your job, your academics, and you know, it's just going to set you up for the future. So please pursue STEM and athletics. It is so rewarding and very valuable.
Thank you to all of our panelists for making time today from their busy schedules to join us. Thank you for sharing your perspectives, stories, and helping us further the conversation on such important issues during such a critical time in our history, and helping us move our Santa Clara community forward in a positive direction with vision and goals. Good luck to each of you on your sports seasons and continued academic excellence. As a reminder, this event has been recorded and will be posted up soon on our website, www.scu.edu/engineering/WTWT. Be on the lookout for the next episode, Walking the Walk Together during the winter quarter 2024. Thank you and have a lovely evening.